Welcome to Ball in Order. I'm Gabe. That's Alex. You can follow us on Twitter, although we never really tweet from that account. You can follow us on TikTok, where I do put a lot of content out. Alex is not involved in that whatsoever.
Nope.
And you can go on our newsletter, and then hopefully we can get Alex some stuff on the newsletter, ballinorder.substack.com. And then you can follow each of us on Twitter. Welcome to the show. Alex, first question of the podcast. Have you ever cheated on your girlfriend with your friend's mom or your mom's friend? I'm sorry, I messed that up. Have you ever cheated on your girlfriend with your mom's friend?
No, I have not.
I haven't either.
Unlike my quarterback.
Do you think he was like worried about it the first? Do you think he's still worried about it? Or is like, yeah, no, people love this. We should make a bit out of this.
I think he has actually handled it perfectly, which is he said nothing about it.
He doesn't seem to say much about anything.
Great move in general as an athlete. Like you, especially as a football player, like you see media like once a week. Like you don't have to talk to anybody ever.
So when I first saw that story though, I was like, he definitely banged his mom, but I guess that's not what happened. I don't know. But I saw a TikTok of his Instagram of like Zach Wilson's mom and her friend who allegedly had sex with Zach Wilson. Like she definitely did that shit.
Oh yeah.
Definitely did that shit. And I don't blame her. He looks like the kind of guy who would, fuck his friend's mom. There's mom's friend.
I'll be honest, like I find the overwhelmingly positive reaction to it surprising.
I don't. This is fantastic. Which NBA player is most likely to do this?
Tristan Thompson.
Oh man. Yeah. The cheat on his girlfriend part. I don't know about with his mom's friend though.
It doesn't matter with Tristan. Tristan Thompson is trending right now for doing that again.
Really?
Yes, literally right now at this moment. I feel like at any moment there is a non-zero chance that Tristan Thompson is cheating on whoever he's with at the time.
What's it? Did he find? He has he has a mystery woman. Oh, okay. He's got a fatter ass than her though. Just like they have a picture of them two from behind. All right, great way to go, Tristan. No, I would say it's like Devin Booker, because you need to be young.
Devin Booker did have the weird that weird interview about him with the stripper who had said she was paid to sleep with the entire Suns team. Do you remember that?
No, not really. But I actually know.
So he has been in the news for odd sexual relations. I'll put it that way.
Well, he's still dating Kylie.
Is he? Who cares?
That doesn't matter. But I think it's Devin Booker. I see someone who's like young, so therefore their mom may be young, and then like has to be good looking in the way that like predatory moms would like kids. That's why I say Devin Booker. He just seems to be that kind of guy. Tyler Hero for sure.
Tyler Hero.
Although now with
until they see his tattoo,
you can keep your shirt on, honey. So that's our football news. Go football. Go Jets. Best
Go
Jets.
Jets.
Best Jets news since what?
The AFC Championship game in 2009.
Probably getting Brett Favre was a big deal. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, which one of our I think since 2009.
All right, moving on to basketball. Let's talk briefly about the DeAndre Ayton saga. So I think we talked about this in the last podcast. Maybe that was a while ago. Alex got COVID in the meantime. He also went to Vermont. Vermont sounded lovely.
It was, as was Maine.
And it sounded lovely. It just came back with COVID, so we couldn't do a show for the last couple weeks. We talked about DeAndre Ayton, talked about, his potential falling out in Phoenix. Apparently everything's great and fine. And there's no reason to worry about that relationship at all. The Pacers offered him
great strategy. They enacted there.
So the Pacers offer him the 4-year, whatever, $133 million max or whatever. It doesn't matter.
And you figure it has all the bells and whistles, but that hasn't been reported.
Yeah. I don't know if they gave him the player option. Maybe not. I don't know. That would suck for him. But the Suns immediately matched. Like they didn't even wait for the whole thing. We were talking about sign trade on.
It was like 15 minutes after it was reported that he actually signed it. They matched it.
And there were some like really interesting pieces that came out in those 15 minutes that I bookmarked, and now like I haven't read them.
Utterly useless.
They're not utterly useless. Like, I'm sure there's some nuggets in there to know, but it's not as useful as it was in those 15 minutes. So he can't be traded until January 15th for whatever reason. No, he can't be traded. And he can't be traded to the Pacers at all for a year. And plus, he has a veto power for any trade.
Implied no trade clause.
Right. So I guess the question, as you alluded to, is, well, I have a few questions here. The first one, though, is like, how do you feel about this tactic? Because I kind of hate it.
On whose part?
On the Suns. Yeah.
I mean, it almost worked, right? Like if there was no one out there to make an offer, but like, yeah, I don't care for it. Like, great, you've pissed off a player that you apparently already had a bad relationship with to save 1 year on a deal that you probably want to trade the guy anyway.
Yeah.
If anything, the contract's probably harder to trade now. If we assume it has some level of trade kicker and all that stuff, because that's generally what you do when you sign someone to an offer sheet. Like, it's probably, well, it's definitely harder to trade him now because he can't be traded. I don't get it at all. It didn't save them any money. It pissed the guy off. I guess it saved them a year on the contract, which, if he's bad, it doesn't matter either way. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But if he's good, then you have him for one less year. So like, you've limited your upside, and you've pissed the guy off, and you're not paying him any less. I don't really get it.
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing is like you definitely pissed this guy off, and it wasn't like, I would get it if you like offered him, okay, we're gonna offer 4 years at whatever, like the max,
like 5 years less than the max, right? It's like, hey, we can give you 1 more year than everybody else. It's whatever, $3 million less than his max value per year could be.
Yeah, and I think that would easily solve the problem. Now, if you didn't want to do that, that's fine, but then don't come out and like have all this reporting be out there that the team doesn't want him. That's my biggest thing, is like, you guys let it happen. And right. And yes, you could say it's like, oh, it's just reporting about what, and it was all conjecture. It's not gonna get to us. That stuff gets to you. When you're reading about how your coach doesn't want you on the team, of course, it's going to affect how you think about the franchise and the team and how you're going to play in this year that they want to win a championship. It's going to affect
your coworkers say they don't want to pay you and they don't want to be your coworker. You're not going to want to go to work with them.
Exactly. It's just like, it's so obvious, and it's happened so many times now that like, I don't get why teams think, oh, well, this is a good negotiation tactic. I mean, I understand negotiating in free agency and normal free agency because it makes it easier, because everyone's doing this, right? If you're an unrestricted free agent, you're wheeling and dealing with everyone, and that's how it works. If you're a restricted free agent, like you're already screwed by the system, and now you're getting screwed more by your own team, and just like, it's gonna make this whole situation a lot worse for the Suns. So I personally would have just been like, hey, would you take? I don't. Maybe they did this. Would you take that 4-year max?
But I doubt it, right? Like, there's no reporting about it. They didn't say like, hey, we offered him blank. That's all. Like, you figure they would say that if they did that.
Well, this Phoenix Suns organization, famously not stingy with their money. So, they
must have been thinking that they could like flip him into something else, right? Like, that's the only reasonable interpretation.
I think they were thinking, and this is why the reporting came out, that if they said enough times that he's not good and that he was a problem or whatever in the locker room, he may have gotten Colin Sexton, which we're waiting on.
There's no one to make an offer, right?
Right.
But like, there's
never going to happen.
There's no mechanism to turn him into something else while he's a restricted free agent. Like, everyone's used up their space. That's what I don't get about it, right? Like, if you wanted to trade him in a sign and trade, you should be pumping up his value, right? Like,
I think they wanted to keep him.
It easier to do that.
They wanted to keep him, and that's why this whole thing was stupid. Like, we went through this whole thing, and you just wanted to keep him. He just wanted to be there, or maybe he didn't want to be there. I don't know, but it seems like he's willing to be there.
Probably didn't want to be there. Like,
there's a lot of things they'll do for $133 million.
First and foremost, he clearly wanted to get paid, which is fair.
Fair. It's $133 million. Like, I'm gonna be in Phoenix, and that's good, and he's gonna play well there. I'm just like, I don't understand the entire saga, and they could come back to bite them in the ass. Maybe it doesn't, and maybe he's not good, and then it's like, well, whatever it is, the outcome's not going to be good at this point, right?
It doesn't. Nothing you did made it likely that your outcome's going to be better. It only has downside.
Right. My second question here on the DeAndre Ayton match situation. Why does everyone hate Miles Turner, man?
Right? Couldn't they have like done this as a signing trade for Miles Turner?
Or like, why is Indiana content? You literally just traded Domantas Sabonis to get out of the whole 2-center situation,
right?
And maybe you did keep the guy you wanted. Maybe you had to trade the guy with the most trade value, and you got Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, look, they got a great deal for Sabonis. Like they should do that deal every time.
But like, why are you now going to bring in another center to play next to him? Like, I don't understand the poor guy, and they're trying to trade him.
Are they? It doesn't like it feels like if they were, it would have happened already, right? Like
no one wants him.
Are they asking a lot for him? It doesn't seem like it.
I don't know. I would love him. I mean, I feel like the podcast community is much higher on Miles Turner than the Pacers or anyone else.
He has a skill set that like 4 guys have. Mm-hmm. Like he legitimately is a decent defensive center who can shoot 3-pointers. Like that unlocks so many different teams. Like there's almost no team in the league that couldn't use a player like that. And I just don't get why no one's interested. And he doesn't make that much money.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. It's not.
It's
a good deal.
Like the way the cap inflation has happened, he basically makes like a role player salary.
And he can easily be a starter on a number of playoff teams. I think the Miami Heat would love to have him. I mean, I think he'd be great. We've been talking about him next to Bam for a long time, although that may not solve his own problem of being next to
I think maybe that's the problem is that like he wants to be the guy, but it doesn't seem like it. Like,
you want to know a stupid reason that I saw online for the lack of Miles and
Miles, did he like the Lego thing?
Yeah. So the lack of Miles Turner interest is due to him being like a super nerd and a Lego guy. And same with DeAndre Ayton, the whole thing with him playing video game.
Jared Allen is a prospect. Like, well, he doesn't only like basketball, so maybe he doesn't like basketball. It's like you don't need basketball's not that hard. You don't need to only think about basketball.
Basketball's very hard, but you can have a job and do other things. That's kind of the point.
Basketball's very hard. Basketball's not like so hard that you need to be devoting 100% of your brain space and effort at it all the time, every day of the year, all the time. Like,
I mean, Kobe did. Kobe was very good.
Many people can do that, but you clearly don't have to do that.
I'd rather my players have a hobby than their hobby being going out and spending my money, because spending your money on Legos and spending 10 hours on that's much better and safer than you going out and spending your money. Stay home. That's much rather what I would have. So I love Miles Turner. Miles Turner, I'm sure you're not listening to this, but we care about you, and we
trade for you.
We trade for you, Miles Turner. That may be the title.
Well, actually, if I was the Cavs, I probably wouldn't trade for him. But
no, the Cavs would.
I mean, really, that's what it is, right? Like, how many teams need a center? Like, just very rarely do teams need center. Everyone has centers. There's a surplus of centers.
Yeah, but I think there's a number of teams that could use him. Like he would be great on the Hornets.
Yes, he'd be great. He'd be great on the Pelicans. I mean, that's the classic one. He'd be great on the Mavericks, who went with Christian Wood instead. Like,
I think I would rather trade what the Mavericks traded for Christian Wood for Miles Turner. I think. How old's Christian Wood?
Christian Wood's like they're about the same age actually, because Christian.
I have a feeling that Christian Wood's gonna be much younger than I think he is.
I think he's 27.
He's 26.
Okay.
And Miles Turner is 26. Okay, they're both the same age. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd rather have Miles. Well,
yes, clearly.
Yeah, I'd rather have Miles Turner. I'd rather have Miles Turner than yeah, so I don't get it.
Of course, if you're on the Mavericks, they make him play next to Dwight Powell. So
Dwight Powell, starter for life. The next Dirk.
And JaVale McGee. They're going to play JaVale McGee and Dwight Powell together.
Oh, God. We'll talk about the Mavericks in a little bit. Let's talk Magic Conch me. So this should just give me an answer. Where will Kevin Durant go now?
Brooklyn.
Perfect. I don't know, man. I think right. I want to talk about the Nets because the Nets, like, I have to find them really fascinating if they're just like sitting on this and just like, okay, no one move.
Not going to get worse than this.
Kyrie and KD are the predator. We're going to paint ourselves in mud and we're going to sit here in this tree and we're going to wait.
Hopefully they decide to come to work next year.
And if they do, I think the team's pretty good. So I put together the best Phoenix deal now. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Saric or Crowder, whichever one you want, and plus all of the draft picks. I think it's,
which is how many they can trade, like 4 picks. 3 picks?
Yeah, they don't have any. I don't think they have any extra draft capital. But they can do 4 picks in the swaps and trade the whole draft, which is good.
I think that's a pretty good deal for the Nets, honestly. Like, what are the odds that a team helmed by Chris Paul, who's the oldest point guard in the league, and Kevin Durant in year 16, like, how long is that team going to stick together?
I'm going to look at this, but like, if we're talking 2029, I'm definitely willing to bet against the Phoenix Suns in 2029.
Right? Yeah, like that's like. I think those picks are actually like more valuable than they seem.
Yeah. No, everyone says this. It's like, look, there's a couple franchises where it's like the Heat, right? Everyone's talking about
I would not. How many people were betting against the Heat picks for 10 years and that didn't work out? Now your picks aren't worth as much.
Well, so I remember people talking about, I think it was like the 2021 pick or the 2023 pick or something that like, it was gold. It was gold like 2 years ago. It was one of the best.
It's because it was unprotected. It's because it was unprotected.
And like, it's just not going to matter because the Heat are always good. The Suns are always bad. The Wolves are always bad. The Knicks are always bad, or they will be bad at some point.
The Wolves is genius.
That was weird. I can't believe we're going to be so complimentary of Danny Ainge. That son of a bitch.
He's really good at getting picks. I mean, I can't argue with him about that.
And
that's apparently the only way to be a good GM, according to the way they're reported on. So.
Yes, and that's exactly what is messing up all of these trades. I think it's that everyone's jerks themselves off for all of the picks. When reality, I mean, like, having picks is great, but you're not gonna. It's not that much. It's not that good. So I want him to go to Miami. Do you think Miami had I don't think Miami even has an offer that can get close to that Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges for a team like Brooklyn.
Unless he just says like, I only want to go to Miami. That's the only way I think he ends up in Miami.
I don't think he has that much leverage to say I only want to go one place. I think he can say I want to go like 2 places, 3 places. I think that's his leverage. Kevin Durant's leverage.
I tend to agree, but like I also think like if he truly said like, no, I only want to be in Miami, like that could make that happen. But no, I don't see beating. I still think their offer's better because they have more picks, and I actually think like Bridges is the best player on the board for either team still.
I think the Heat can get up to 4 picks and 3 swaps. I think
it's 3 picks, and you'd have to unprotect the Thunder.
Yeah,
picks.
That's the thing. Yeah. So we could do that. That's fine.
It seems like you could do that.
Well, we have the best player in the world, Nikola Jovic. That's draft capital that we could send out. I mean, you have some other players I like draft capital, but I'd still think like if the Nets want to compete, Mikal Bridges would be their best outcome, unless there's like Scotty Barnes, table, or someone like that. And also Bridges on the extensions.
It's weird because like I think Bridges is the best player of those ones being talked about, but he also is like a complimentary player. So yeah. Like I think he has more value, but I don't think like he's not. You're gonna put the ball in his hands. He's not gonna average 24 points a game. Like, yeah, that's just not the player he is. Well, I mean, maybe he could, and on a bad team, I don't know, but it seems unlikely that like he's gonna be like a prime offensive creator. Otherwise, the Suns would be doing that with him.
Right. Yeah, but I think, yeah,
he has more value to a good team than he does to a rebuilding team or even like a low-end playoff team.
He'd be really good next to Ben Simmons, though, and that's kind of the team they're building now.
Does Ben Simmons still play basketball?
He does. I mean, he's going to play now. There's nothing going on. He has no pressure.
Is he going to play now?
He'll play now. I'm confident he will play when he's healthy. He didn't want to be in Philadelphia, and now he has no pressure in Brooklyn because no one's going to give a fuck about this team whatsoever. Has any player
ever had more red flags than Ben Simmons? Like the last time we saw him play basketball, which was 2 years ago, he was like had a complete meltdown in the playoffs and refused to shoot. He's since then held out, like forced to trade, then had back surgery.
It's not great. It's a rough year.
Have more I guess.
It's a rough year. It's a rough year. I don't think he's ever going to be. He's going to be exactly. I think he's going to be pretty much exactly the player we saw in Philadelphia the year before the last year that he played.
So 3 years ago.
Forever. I think he's good.
Forever.
He's never going to shoot the decline. Ball. I don't think he's. I really don't think he's much of a regression candidate because, like, what does he do that's going to regress? He doesn't shoot at all.
He does so little that you can't.
So little on offense that there's no regression. His defense is great. I think, but Hero would be really good. Hero's the type of player that you could convince yourself is going to average 24 points a game at some point. awful tiger tattoo notwithstanding, he is a player.
Tiger?
It's supposed to be a tiger.
I thought it was like two birds.
No, it's a tiger. It's the eye of the tiger.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Why is the eye of the eyes red?
He spent a little bit too much time with the Latinos down in Miami. That's all.
Oh
That's
God, it's such a bad tattoo.
It's such a bad. Although I really want to see him get traded to Utah.
It's a really great discussion for an auditory medium.
Everyone knows what this tattoo looks like. I really want to see his wife in Utah. I think she'll immediately divorce him if he gets traded to Utah. That's why
she's not going to Utah.
Not going to Utah. She's like, all right, that's enough on the Suns and the various things going around the Suns. We'll talk more about some of these teams in a moment. Did you see that the Utah signed the Italian guy, Simone Fontecchio? No,
but great.
It's some guy, some 26-year-old from Italy.
Great.
Playing in the EuroLeague. It's fun times. Good times. Good for Utah.
Great tanking move.
I just love the Italians. We need more Italians.
Just having espresso and smoking a cigarette on the bench during the game.
Hey. He's not Boris Diaw. Calm down. I had something about Shabazz Muhammad, but I didn't read the whole article. So moving on.
He wants to come back in the NBA.
It seemed like an interesting.
It took way too many paragraphs to get to the point where it says that the reason he fell so far in the draft is he was lying about his age. Yeah. He was 2 years older than everyone thought he was.
I remember that. I remember when that came out like 3 years after he was drafted, right?
No, it came out it came out the year he played in college. It was like, oh, he's 2 years older than we thought he was.
Oh, so it wasn't really his attitude so much as the deep lie at the center of his entire.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Buddy Hield was the one who it turned out was another year older.
Yeah. That's because. But like, I don't know how we didn't know that about Shabazz Muhammad. He's from the United, like he was born here, right?
Yeah.
So how did no one catch that? He was born in Long Beach. How did that not come up?
No
like
one
Buddy Hield, I understand he's from the Bahamas. Like that's harder to get records.
I think people like frequently underestimate how easy it is to just consistently lie about something because like most people don't double check anything.
Yeah. I am 12.
Yeah, like, all right, I guess.
All right, moving on to our two main topics of the day. Our first one is going to be Donovan Mitchell. Our second one's going to be, has any team actually improved in NBA free agency so far? Let's start with Mitchell. I want to talk about the Mitchell landing spots. We can talk Miami and New York. We've heard to death, right? Like, I don't think we need to cover much more of that. Is there anything you want to say about those?
Disclaimer at the top, it feels like he's probably going to New York.
He's probably going to New York because I'm going to tell you what, I would be pretty pissed if the Heat gave up 8 draft picks or whatever to get friggin' Donovan Mitchell. He's good. He's great. He's a nice player.
He's not that good.
He's a star. He may be a superstar. I'm not giving up that much.
I'm pretty sure he's not a superstar.
I think he could.
I don't know what the definition of superstar is, but whatever it is, Donovan Mitchell is not that.
He could be, well, so here's the thing, right? Like if you convince yourself like he could be a third best player on a championship team, I'd do it, but it's like it's not just
he could be. He definitely could be, but you need the other two.
Well, we have two, I think. Jimmy could be the best player on a
I think he'd be a great fit on the Heat. I don't think you have enough to get him. I actually think he'd be perfect in the Heat. Like he's exactly what you need. He's not the best player in the world, but he does the things you need a player to do.
If we gave everything up for Donovan Mitchell, we would not have enough to win the championship with Donovan.
Exactly.
So he's
not good enough to compensate for everything that's also being lost.
So he's probably going to go to New York, where he's going to play with a 5'11" point guard under Tom Thibodeau.
Is Donovan Mitchell like being 6'1" surprising to you?
Yeah. Who said that? Someone said that on a podcast.
I thought he was 6'4".
Yeah, someone said that. I remember hearing that. I was like, man, I totally forgot.
6'1" feels way too small for him.
So I didn't like him in the draft. In that draft, if you recall, I really wanted Justin Jackson from UNC.
Yep. Yeah. How's that looking?
It worked. Bam worked out. I was pretty upset when we picked Bam, and that one worked out. But I was pretty low on Mitchell because I remember him being 6'1", and then you came into the league and didn't play like that at all.
Right.
But yeah,
he's got long arms, which is why people thought he'd be a good defensive player. I mean, the weird thing is he's done none of the stuff people thought he was going to do.
Just an awesome.
But he's been great.
Just an awesome scorer, and great. And Jalen Brunson is pretty good defensively, for his size. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to get better defensively. I think because He's like 23 or whatever. How old is he?
I've never seen him be good on defense. Like, it's not like he was like, oh, I'm busting my ass early on, and then his role got so big that he's like, I'm not using any energy on this. It just didn't happen.
Well, but he was also never asked. I mean, like, I'm looking for reasons to.
It just actually, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Karl Anthony Towns, who was, when he was coming in, was like, this guy's going to be a defensive center.
Yeah.
And they got in the NBA. It's like, nope, he's not that. We were wrong.
He's awesome.
He's awesome, but he's
certainly not that.
Just he's not good at all. Like, I think that's just I think people were just wrong about Mitchell. Like, I don't think he's a good defender.
And that's fine.
He could be fine. If he's your smallest player and your primary guard, like, that's fine.
Which he would be
neither of those. The problem is every single team he's like been linked to has other small guards.
Yeah, so I don't like to fit New York, but whatever. I mean, what else is New York going to do? Because they're just going to suck for the next 10 years regardless. They can't draft anything. They haven't been good in like 20 years. So, like, I get it. Like, screw it.
Never done nothing. Never. Yeah.
Let's try to be the 6th best team in the East. If the Knicks were the 6th best team in the East for like 5 years, that's the best run they've had since Carmelo.
Oh, that's better than the run.
It's probably better than Carmelo.
That's the best run they've had since Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Like, that's worth doing.
I think we kind of have to think of the Knicks as the Timberwolves at this point, and we will talk about the Timberwolves. But you kind of have to think of them as the Timberwolves because they have sucked that hard for that long.
Yeah. I agree with you.
The only difference is the Timberwolves don't have the previous 60 years to.
The other thing is, like, the Knicks make enough money. Like, they should go for things like this. Like,
yeah. Although trading those draft picks is going to be amazing.
It'd be hilarious, and it's not going to work. But I still think they should do it nonetheless. Now, they shouldn't trade all of the picks, but let's get to what you actually want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about other destinations. I am looking at the New York Knicks franchise index, though. They only made the playoffs 3 years straight with Carmelo. That's it.
Oh, I know.
So,
and they lost in the first round 2 of those times.
Yep. Then they had the one good series against the Miami. Oh, good being a stretch.
Sure.
All right. Let's talk about the other teams, though, because I want to talk about the other teams because I think it's going to be New York, but let's talk about some other teams I think he fits on. First one, Charlotte. I think he's been linked here. I don't know. Yeah. But Charlotte, essentially at this point, I think they're just like, well, screw defense. Well, first off, Charlotte's in a lot of trouble because Miles Bridges should probably go to jail. And
really no fault of their own. As far as we know, I don't like.
Yeah, so Miles Bridges, he needs to just get out. Although they have not rescinded his qualifying offer, so I'm assuming they're just gonna bring him.
I mean, they probably shouldn't, but like just like cynical advice, like yes, you should retain the qualifying, but like it doesn't feel like he's gonna play in the NBA again. On the other hand, the NBA has been terrible about these things, and he could easily end up on a contract and play in the NBA again. So we'll see.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's back. I would not take him on my team, but regardless, he's not in the picture at the moment. Montrezl Harrell, I don't know what happened to him. He got pulled over with 3 pounds of marijuana, which seems impossible for a person that rich to be carrying.
That's a lot of marijuana.
I've never seen 3 pounds of marijuana. I've seen a lot of marijuana in my life. I've never seen 3 pounds of it. So I don't know what's going to happen to him. I assume he's not going to jail. I don't know.
Zach Randolph didn't go to jail and he was found with like a pound on his back. So I suspect he's rich enough to avoid going to jail.
I assume so too. Shouts to whoever's taking the blame for that on Montrezl Harrell's camp. But at this point, the point being, even with those 2 guys, if they were like not in trouble, this team would still be in the absolutely we're not playing defense camp because everything's built around Lonzo Ball.
But so they brought Steve Clifford back.
I think Steve Clifford's not long for this world. He's gonna quit.
Well, I mean, like also like he stopped coaching because of health issues. This team's probably.
I didn't mean to like
health issues.
I forgot that he quit because of health issues. Yeah, I don't think he's long for this job. Not this world. Okay, I hope he has a very long.
I thought you were predicting he was gonna die in this job.
There's gonna be a miscue on the pick and roll, and he's just gonna fall. He's gonna keel over.
Oh God. I'm worried about that.
I didn't think about that. I forgot that he quit because of health reasons. And yeah, he's gonna have trouble regardless of who's there. But I'd rather have two nuclear offensive guards in Lonzo and Donovan Mitchell. That pairing's unstoppable. And then you can kind of build the boat out of everything else. And if either one of them makes a jump defensively, they're in real business as a competitive team. The deal for me would be Gordon Hayward, Mark Williams, their first-round pick this year. First in 2023, because they have Denver's 2023 pick. So 2023, 2025, 2027, 2029.
How the hell did they get Denver's pick? I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Throw in Book Knight too. Why not?
Yeah, I was gonna say you can have Book Knight or Williams, or both, whatever. It seems like a lot. But it's not that much. I guess
it's not that much because those players aren't that good,
and those picks probably won't be that good.
I mean, they'll probably be pretty good. It feels like Charlotte, like, that doesn't really move the needle for Charlotte, but I do think that would also be fun.
Yeah.
So I put it this way. That is better than any other plan for Charlotte that I have heard.
I think it does move the needle. It doesn't make them a championship contender, but Charlotte.
I guess I'll put it this way. It puts them from the 9-10 to like the 7-8.
Yeah. That'd be huge. That'd be huge for Charlotte. What are we talking about?
Home court advantage in the play-in, baby.
Are you kidding? Like they haven't. That's great. I mean, and you have a much better chance. I think it pushes them into like the 5 to 7 range here.
Yeah, maybe. I think the middle of the East is really good. So like I think like the Cavs ended up as the 10th seed with 44 wins last year. Like that's after losing in the play-in, but still, like that's like it's gonna be hard you can't just like sneak in with less than 500 like you used to and just be, hey, I have an 8th seed, yay! I don't know. I think that'd be fun though. It's better than any other Charlotte plan I've heard, and like their dream is to be a mediocre playoff team. So it sounds fine to me. I don't know anything else that they're doing.
Exactly like what else you're gonna do here? The guy you're planning to sign is a criminal. The other guy that you wanted to be a big part of your team had 3 pounds of marijuana. I'm not sure that necessarily makes him a criminal, but in the eyes of the state, it becomes a problem.
I think that I really shouldn't be nitpicking this trade, but like you want to try to keep Williams if you can, right? Because you don't have anyone else playing center.
Shit, they don't. I didn't think that part.
I think they still have a Plumlee.
Yeah, no, they definitely have a Plumlee. I think did they not bring someone?
I refuse to identify which Plumlee it is, even though I know it's Mason
Plumlee. Let's see.
They picked Mark Williams to like be their probably backup to start the season, in the hopes that he'd be their starting center.
Man, they have Mason Plumlee listed as a forward center. I hate that. I hate that so much.
ESPN? They just don't update that.
No, this is NBA. This is NBA.com. Like this is updated for the players they've signed. In the offseason.
Forward center, Mason Plumlee, power forward.
I guess he did kind of play power forward though in Denver.
He did on the Nuggets, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hopefully Trez is fine. Like also for his sake. But yeah, I want to keep Mark Williams. They also have someone named Nick Richards, who's in his second year and is 24.
That sounds fake. He doesn't exist.
And they have a guy named Kai Jones who's 6'10".
They drafted him last year. They traded for that pick with the Knicks.
And he's listed as from Texas, Austin, which I find funny.
I saw him.
It's really, really funny. Is Kevin Durant listed as from Texas, Austin? Because the Texas people would freak out if that's how the NBA is doing them.
I mean, he must be, right? Like,
yeah, he is. It's Texas, Austin.
That makes the SEC's 14th best football program deserves your respect.
So would you do that deal if you're I think both teams. I think Utah I think all these deals Utah would do, because that's kind of where I was coming from. Like what makes Utah say yes.
Gotcha.
Would you do it if you're Charlotte?
Yes, because Charlotte's like organizational goals are so unambitious. Yes, I would.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being unambitious.
As an expert.
Welcome to our podcast.
As an expert in valuing lack of ambition.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Moving on to my second team. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think either team should engage here. However, the Memphis Grizzlies. I think Ja will get better on defense. It's very precarious, but basically all of matching Mitchell with anybody at this point is kind of hard because there's not that many great point guard defenders on teams.
Well, there's not that many like good teams that don't have a point guard, and there's not that many good teams that need a small guard to create. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, like Miami is the only. Like Miami is the absolute best destination for him. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, because the Knicks can outbid you.
Yeah, exactly. But here is great because this team has other defensive infrastructure, which Charlotte does not have. They have a lot of young players. They've proven that they can draft well, so they can turn these picks in and not feel. I mean, they can turn the young players into this player and not feel like they're completely screwed forever. And they have everyone that they would need if they're willing to pay the money to do it. It's going to get very expensive very fast. Like next year, it would get very, very expensive.
Supposedly their owner has a bunch of money now. I don't know. He's never spent it, but supposedly he does.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's had to. I think they're going to spend it in the next 2 years. So this would be, and you know, I disagree with the idea of like teams with like, oh, this is like our one shot. Like I don't think that as a Miami Heat fan. There's a million shots.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that too. Like,
yeah. So
if you're willing to be creative and spend money, there's a lot of ways to get talent.
Right. Or get worse or get better. Or do, you know, whatever your goals are, you can try to complete them with whatever you have, I think, in my opinion, if you're a good enough team. It becomes a lot harder without first round picks. I think if they're willing to spend the money.
What's the deal?
All right, here's the deal. And I like this deal because the Memphis has 2 picks in 2024, so they can trade 2 picks now. It would be a little bit more enticing for a team that maybe needs to sell that they got something immediate from this trade. So the deal would be Steven Adams, Zaire Williams, David Roddy, who's their first round pick this year, first round picks in 2023, 2024, 2026, and 2028.
Oof.
Plus seconds.
I don't see the.
We can take you want to take off
picks.
We'll take off the 2020.
Like Zaire Williams should count as a first round pick. Like he was good as a rookie, like and at a position of value.
That would be 6 first round picks, but we'll take one off. All right, we'll take one off. Take one off. So now we have 3 first round picks plus Roddy, who's a first round pick this year, and Zaire Williams, who's another first round pick. I think he's attractive because he has 3 years left on that rookie scale. So that'd be very.
And he's already looked good.
And they could, if Utah wants Dillon Brooks, they could trade him. But if I was Memphis, I'd rather just keep Dillon Brooks if I'm willing to pay him.
See, what I was gonna say is I would try to make the money in this deal, Dillon Brooks.
He doesn't. He has to be a second.
Doesn't make enough.
No, I don't think he makes enough yet.
Do they just re-sign him? Is that what it is?
They have not re-signed him. Not to mind.
Anyway, I don't love it for Memphis. I don't think that Donovan Mitchell brings what they need.
Okay.
I think he would help. I think they'd be good. I don't think that it. I think they're like on the fringe of title contention now, and I think with him they're still on the fringe of title contention.
Right.
I don't think it moves the needle for them in a way that they should cash in their stuff for him. Personally. Also, like, I think Steven Adams is weirdly important for them.
Yeah.
Like when they started playing him again in the Warriors series, like they were really good with him. Like he was a bad fit against specifically the Timberwolves, and I think they made the right call benching him. But I think they kind of need even just an innings eater in the regular season as a center, like to get a high seed. I think might be more important to them than the ball handling upgrade they'd get with Mitchell. I also I'm having trouble thinking what their best lineup would be with Ja and Donovan Mitchell on the team. Like you got 2 guys who are 6'1" out there, and then
Jackson in the back.
Yes, who is Dillon Brooks playing the 3 now? Like he's way too small to play the 3.
He's 6'7".
I know, but he's I know
what you're saying. I mean, I guess you put. I mean, Clark's at the 4. Jackson's at the 5.
fouling out in the first quarter.
Yeah, we're gonna need some. Santi Aldama fixed it. Done. We got Brandon Clark at the 3, Santi Aldama at the 4, and Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane can play a 3.
Desmond Bane's a 2 guard, right? So he's playing the 3 now.
He's gonna play a 3. Yeah.
It unbalances their lineups in a way that I don't love.
Well, I think it's just like I don't think this team is talented enough to win a championship at any point in the next.
I don't think they're talented enough to be a championship favorite at any point, or even like top 4 contender.
Yeah,
I put them like just outside that.
I think the reason you get Mitchell is just to up that talent level and up if you have another bucket getter in the playoffs, it's a good thing. And I think it could work. I mean, like they've already invested in Tyus Jones. And so if you're comfortable with Tyus Jones and John Morant being kind of your backcourt.
Well, you kind of need Tyus Jones just to Ja's going to miss games. Like you need a capable backup point guard. I get Donovan Mitchell could do that too, obviously. They need a wing, right? Like if they want to win a title, they need a wing. And honestly, like Zaire Williams is their best wing prospect on the roster. I don't think I'd want to give up him for a guy I know can't be that.
Right. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about the worst one. Actually, we're going long. We're going to talk about the worst deal here. Washington. Because what could be worse than one ball dominant guard who can't play defense on a mediocre team? 2 ball dominant guards who can't defend on a mediocre team. There's also like not a good deal. So I just wanted to mention Washington.
Just say like ideologically, this is the same rationale as the Charlotte move, right? Yeah. It's like going all in for the 6th seed.
Yeah. Which is exactly what Washington.
Good year.
Actually, I think Charlotte has a better upside. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, because LaMelo Ball's young and might get better. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a better upside than Washington.
Yes. Well, do the Kings have a better upside than Washington?
We'll talk about the Kings. You watch your tone. Young man. All right, Dallas. I mean, he would fill in the Jalen Brunson role, and they need someone that could do it. There's not much.
He's a great fit in Dallas. They have nothing to trade.
Nope. That was my exact point. They have nothing to give up. All right.
Dallas, I think, is probably like the best basketball fit he could ever hope for.
It's just not gonna happen.
They just don't have the
unless he goes, I want. And here's the other thing with Donovan Mitchell that I wanted to bring up. Why wouldn't he just request the trade? You have so much more leverage the second you do that.
I don't think he particularly cares where he goes. I think he just doesn't want to be in Utah.
But I would you want to control. If I was in this situation, I'd rather do what Kevin Durant did, which is I want to control the proceedings. So I'm going to say I want out. Like at the very least, I say I want out to the media, and then it's out there, and now your trade value kind of tanks, and you can control the proceedings a little bit more to go to where you want to go.
I think Utah is so obviously rebuilding that I don't really think it materially changes what's happening. And also, Donovan Mitchell is not Kevin Durant.
No,
I think you have to be a player of a certain caliber to pull that off, and I think the caliber is exactly James Harden. That is exactly where the line is.
Is the line right above Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, whatever that is, he does not cross it.
But I would at least do it. So then at least I have some control, and at least like, all right, now I got the Utah fans turning on me, so that was a little bit more urgency to trade me.
See, I've never understood it that way. Like, if I'm the general manager, like it's like fine, like I don't care. Like.
No, but they do care. They do care. That's the thing. Like we have to live in reality. And if I
think they care when they're trying to be competitive, or like at least like, but like Utah is not even trying. Like Utah, I think would happily win 0 games next year.
Yeah, they would. But
like what do they care?
I would at least try to claw back some of the leverage in this situation if I was Donovan Mitchell. I'd just be like, I want out and I want to go to Miami, and then just say it. Just say it. Just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know what he wants, right? Like maybe he really does want to go to New York. I don't think he's been linked there forever.
Or whatever. Just say I want to go to Miami, or New York, or Dallas. Just say it. Just yell it. I declare bankruptcy. The other teams I considered, Denver, for no reason other than the series that he had against them was awesome, and I feel like they'd just be afraid of him. Also, I don't believe in Michael Porter Jr. at all. So I'd rather get off him now.
It's the same problem. Well, it's not the same. It's a similar problem that we're having everywhere, which is now you have 2 guys who play point guard essentially who don't defend with Jamal Murray and him.
Speaking of another team I considered, the Sacramento Kings.
The Kings should do it.
The Kings should do it. It's just they don't.
What else they have going on?
I forgot why I couldn't do it because I did all these trades in the trade machine.
They somehow don't have any extra picks.
They somehow don't have any extra picks, which is insane. They also don't have like the matching salary. Like Harrison Barnes doesn't quite get you there. And then there's some other reason why it couldn't work. And like, there's no one else on this roster that
are Donovan Mitchell. Are they both the same like weird contract that like the Ben Simmons thing has? They're not, right?
No, but it doesn't matter because you can have one. You can trade for one guy and have another.
Right. That's right. You just can't trade for two.
The only people that have this
stupid ass rule.
It is a stupid ass rule. But the only people that have this problem is the Nets, and that's just hilarious. Like the Nets get so consistently screwed by life that this is exactly the thing that would happen to them. All of the players they would want in this situation, they cannot get because they already have Ben Simmons. The one player you don't want out of this group of players.
Has the Nets? Yeah, right. Have the Nets crossed over the I'm so annoyed about hearing about them all the time to being such a disaster that I actually do enjoy hearing about them?
No, I enjoy hearing about this. I enjoy hearing about it. We haven't mentioned Kyrie, which makes it all better. Like it sucked talking about the Nets last year because we had to talk about Kyrie, and now we just kind of can ignore him because he's
now is he the most reliable asset they have now?
Yes. I actually do want to talk about Brooklyn though in just a moment. I considered Portland because that seems like such a move they would do. It didn't work because they're hard capped for some reason. They're hard capped because their owners
are hard capped for some reason.
They're hard capped because their owners are cheap asses. Although I like getting Gary Payton too, and we'll talk about that in a second. I also briefly considered Cleveland, like you brought up the potential.
I thought about it too, just because the Colin Sexton situation. Like it seems like there's some disagreement there. It's like, oh, what could that you turn that into?
No,
it's not. It's the same problem. You'd have 2-6-1 creators who don't play defense,
which is the same. But they have that same exact problem. Of all of the teams, Cleveland's already in the situation, so they don't care.
Correct, and they play a million bigs all the time, so who cares?
Yeah, I think they're well. It's just I don't think Utah wants Sexton, and I don't think there's another. Obviously there's not another team.
Also don't really have a lot of extra picks. I don't think we have any extra picks. We have our own picks, but no extras.
Man, it'd be hilarious if the Cavs traded for Kevin Durant. That's I just thought about
it. Mobley would have to be in the deal, and that's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. But that'd be really funny.
I thought about it too. I was like, wait a minute. Like, could we actually like you could get there? You can get to a reasonable offer pretty easily.
Yeah. You just have to include Mobley, and I agree. I don't think that, and the rest of the team's not ready.
If you could put like Garland, Mobley, and Durant together, though, like you could talk me into that.
So, what's your favorite Mitchell landing spot?
Ugh.
Right.
I mean, Miami, but it's not going to happen.
It might happen. It might,
but other than Miami, the Brooklyn Nets for Ben Simmons.
That'd be really funny.
That's the weirdest. It's the weirdest like trade sweepstakes ever because like I'm not that excited about him on any team.
Yep.
Like he's a good player. It's just I think what it is for me is like, there's so many good guards who aren't as good as him, but there's so many good guards that like you can manufacture Donovan Mitchell's production out of other players in a way that I'm like, do I really want to go all in on this when I can, sign 3 guards and approximate this?
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of what every team is doing. I mean, you look at any competitive team, and they're just trying to find they can find those scores anywhere. In terms of not the level, but
right.
At least make up the production on their team. I hope he ends up in Miami. That'd be great. I mean, not just as like a Heat fan, just for like, as a person who appreciates the way he plays. Like, I think it'd be great.
It'd be good for him.
Good for him.
He's going to end up in New York.
He's probably going to end up in New York, and it will be very uninteresting.
He'll be putting up a lot of points, somewhat inefficiently, on a mediocre team. That kind of seems like his destiny.
And then it's RJ Barrett's going to drift off into more obscurity than he's already in.
Yeah, what an odd player he is.
I don't know. He's good though. He is good.
He's good. That's exactly what he is. He's good.
He's good. And that's fine. It's just the rest of the Knicks are also just good.
Nearly good or worse.
Do you think he's the player that gets Tommy T fired in New York?
I don't think it matters who gets him fired. Like he's got to get fired at some point because
he's gonna get fired next year.
Yeah, like no matter what they do, I feel like he's gonna get fired.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it's not his fault because it kind of is his fault, but
I mean, like he's doing what he does. Like,
exactly what you would expect him to do. Yeah. So he'll be in New York probably. But I love the Miami fit. I love the Dallas fit. Charlotte.
If we could get him to Dallas, like that's what I want.
He would also look really great in the Charlotte uniforms. Not that everyone doesn't look great in the Charlotte uniforms.
Yeah, he would.
He's got the.
I agree.
Got the right frame for it. Look great in it. So Donovan, we wish you the best. Let's move on